Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to House of Footy. It's your boy Ray, and with me, I've got a full house tonight. Welcome tonight, Mac
Good evening.
and Gio.
What is good, guys?
As the year of 2023 winds down, we are here to pick up some of our favorite moments from this last 12 months, our favorite goals, most disappointing players, funniest moments, just to name a few. But before we get into all of that, don't forget to follow us on our social medias, both on X and Instagram. Our handle is at @house_of_footy. Also, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to us. We are on both Spotify and YouTube. And lastly, feel free to get in touch with us via email. We love hearing from you guys, and we want you guys getting involved. Our email is houseoffooty@hotmail.com. But let's get straight into our categories. Mac, you're going to go first. First category is our favorite goal. So, Mac, take it away first.
So my favorite goal, and it's not necessarily, I would say, an individually fantastic solo effort. I don't think it's individually the greatest goal this player scored this calendar year, but I think it's probably the individually the greatest moment of this team's of this club's history. I would argue. In addition, set them up to be able to go on to win a treble. I'm gonna go take you back, gentlemen, back to May 9th, and we're gonna go to Spain, and we're gonna go to the Bernabeu. In the 66th minute, Real Madrid are up 1-0, and the Manchester City Demons are raining down on them, saying, you know what? You guys can't win the cup. As Gio would say, God's favorite team is going to do it again, get the trophy, lift the Champions League. They do what they do. But no, your boy Kevin De Bruyne steps up, bangs in an absolute bullet beyond Thibaut Courtois into his Courtois' low right post from outside the box. Clinical strike, and it is, I will separate my shoulder to pat myself on the back. It was as I called it. If Man City just take a tie from the Bernabeu, they would go on and absolutely spank Real Madrid at home, which they did for nothing. And no one after that moment, after that 1-1 goal, should have looked at it a moment where Man City weren't going to go win the Champions League and, of course, go on to win the treble. I think this is very much emblematic of what's gone on this last full calendar year for Man City, and we'll touch on that a little bit later in the podcast. So that's a little bit teased for later. But I would argue you can see what Kevin De Bruyne in that moment does for this Manchester City team, where, yes, people are talking a lot about the Haalands, the Rodris, but I would argue Kevin De Bruyne is really the straw that stirs the drink. And that goal right there is what separated this club from going kind of something a great season to arguably the greatest footballing year that we've seen any club have in history.
Big props, of course, to Man City winning the treble, and of course, recently just winning the Club World Cup. So another trophy for Pep
Equal
Guardiola.
measure, equal importance, of course.
I, Before I go on, a great goal. Of course, I also one that stands out for that Champions League run is Rodri's goal against Bayern Munich. I think it was a left-footed curler. Fantastic goal, fantastic goal. Any thoughts on that goal, Gio? Before I give you guys my goal.
Sen- Sensational. It was an absolute bullet. Yeah, they could have closed out better, but the fact of the matter is, it came off KDB's foot, and he is obviously they miss him, and we can see why, and they are hurting without him, and very evidently so.
Exactly. Okay, well, let me then move to my goal. I think I know Gio's goal, and I think it was going to be one of my choices, but I'm going to go a different way in that case. Not the most important goal, I would say, though it is a game-winning goal, which we all love, of course, game winners, and that's going to be Lionel Messi's first goal for Inter Miami, which was against Cruz Azul in the League's Cup. He comes on in the second half. Game is tied 1-1. He gets brought down right in front of the box and, of course, steps up to take it. Top corner from a free kick, wins the game, introduces himself to the MLS, and, of course, even though it wasn't in the MLS, introduces himself, I guess, to North America in general. And we know how his season went. It wasn't the most successful, but yeah, I think it kind of it's a perfect start to, of course, a lot of people's favorite players of all time, and so myself included, that was a goal that really stood out to me. It did the rounds on social media. I'm sure you guys saw that, and it was just crazy because for a North American audience, it was the equivalent of like a highlight reel goal, which you would see on maybe like a basketball play or something from the MLB. So that's the goal that stands out for me. Not the most important, and definitely not the closest. Well, the closest to home to us, but maybe not to any European followers. But that's the goal that I chose. What do you guys think on that one?
I love that goal. It's quintessential Messi in a lot of ways, but that free kick, how does he able to pinpoint? Kind of it hit it right where you want it, right where the goalkeeper would be able to get it. I think it's kind of in some ways shows the impact that he did have. And spoiler, we may talk about this later as we go further down the list. But it definitely shows kind of what registered, kind of the fanfare that brought with him. Because when you show other players coming to watch, like the best of the best in the world, coming to watch like LeBron or other kind of athletes coming to be able to watch Messi play first game and how expensive those tickets were, to have that kind of expectations not just met in a lot of ways but surpassed, shows, and is only a credit to the beautiful sport. So love to hear that shout out.
Okay. In that case,
No, like I just wanted to add, just because like watching all the documentaries and the behind the scenes of it all, seeing how hard David Beckham had to work to get him there, and seeing David Beckham from his perspective too, like how much it meant, not only for him but for the club itself and how much effort he's put into the club. Um, Shows the trickle effect of what a singular man, but a singular goal. I think if he scored that one goal and for whatever reason, God forbid he got injured and the season was a dud, I think people would still cherish that moment equally as much. So I know David Beckham would, because it not only puts the game on the map, but it shows the different in quality, and that this guy is arguably, if not the best player to walk the face of the earth, and the talent shows, and he's excited that everybody got to witness it live.
exactly. Okay, well, Gio, I think I know which goal you're gonna choose, so please give it to us.
It's actually Garnacho's goal
Exactly.
this past game, actually, when he scored a deflection. I'm joking. Obviously against Everton, much so much like his idol would, audacious attempt. You get a lot of people compared it to obviously Rooney's goal, because they were obviously wearing the Manchester United shirt, but I think his technique, the precision was much better. Again, like Mac mentioned, it was off Rooney's shin when he scored that. Again, against Man City, massive game, but to score in that fashion, to be going through the struggles that, man, you have been going through, to have that type of charisma to take that opportunity as a young kid himself. I think he's only 19 still. To just not even think and to say, okay, I'm going to bicycle kick this. Not even get in position so I can chest it down and maybe take a volley. I'm gonna bicycle kick this. That to me just shows the potential he has, and obviously the technical ability that he does possess.
Yeah. My last thing would be, and I think I mentioned this. This is something that I think a lot of players would maybe try throughout the game if there's a chance. But he did it so early on that the fact that he was able to hit it, I think within 15 minutes of the game starting, just fantastic. Confidence and technique. So yeah, Mac.
I think that's the dream goal. I think for most young players growing up, if you had an ideal goal of how you would want to score, maybe not that minute, maybe not that gets that team, maybe not the team that you're playing for. I think that's definitely a phenomenal play for a lot of areas. But how do you want to score the goal? I think that's as kind of clear cut as you can get. As clean of an overhead strike I think I've ever seen, ever. Period. There's no way to be able to describe it other than that. Absolute class. Love to see it.
Okay, well, let's move on quickly then to from our favorite goal to the most, our in our opinion, the greatest disappointment so far this season or this year. Mac. kick us off?
I'm going to take a step out of the on-pitch performance. I'm going to take a step out of the managerial performance. I'm going to kind of sashay into the ownership performance. And I think every Chelsea fan knows exactly where I'm going. I'm going to go with Todd Boehly. Think about this. I know I'm going to use some rough numbers here, but Todd Boehly, just did a quick Google search. He's worth $6.1 billion with the B dollars, right? That's what he's individually worth. Chelsea's net transfer spend over the last 3 windows, that's majority within 2023, is $1 billion. So think about, you spent 1/6 of your total net worth of everything that you own to help improve the team that you care about, and you get worse. It is one of the biggest fumble of any bag I've ever seen in history. How do you spend that much money and you are worth? There's no logical way this makes any sense to me. If you said right now your club gets to spend $1 billion over the course of the next 12 to 18 months, do you think you're going to climb up a couple spots? Unless you're like first or second, you would assume yes. And if it wasn't for Everton getting docked, Chelsea would be 11th. It's just, it's pathetic. Again, it's as easy as it gets. I don't think, I'll be honest with you, you both may have stuck to more on the pitch results, but I don't think if you're a Chelsea fan, and that's why I think in terms of the conversation we had at some points, would you rather be a Man U fan or a Chelsea fan right now? The reason why you would lean Manchester United is because you still haven't spent that much and you're still better, which again, this shouldn't make any sense. So it's all sad, it's all pathetic. And Todd Boehly, you are the biggest disappointment of 2023 to me.
Okay, well, before I toss it to Gio, one of my greatest disappointments is Chelsea related, and that's of course a player from Chelsea, and that is their current club captain, Reece James. We've talked about this a lot, but just quickly, of course, he's injured. He won't be back until I think the spring of next year. 8 games in the Premier League so far, 1 assist, not the greatest return. Honestly, yeah, a very, very poor return for the club captain. A big season that was expected from him, and it just shows the way they have been playing the season, like Mac just mentioned. Just been disappointing all around. So, Gio, go ahead.
Wow. Maybe we hit the perfect triple here, because my 2 disappointment does lie with someone who belongs to the club of Chelsea. It's Enzo Fernandez, who has not lived up. I could have. Hey, the list was long. Many of them Chelsea players, but I picked Enzo. Obviously, after coming off a World Cup winning performance,
which happened in 2022. So
happened in 22.
You can't count it.
You want to carry the momentum, but no momentum. Came to Chelsea, came to London, and it wasn't it. And it still isn't it. Obviously, there's still hope for a lot of fans. I guess. I mean, that's all they can have at this point. But he just hasn't clicked. We don't know if it's the pairing. We don't know if it's Pochettino's style. Whatever the case may be, it just hasn't clicked yet. I think we all could have agreed as well that Caicedo could have easily been on this list as well. But yeah, either or, same poop, different pile. But yeah, no, just very disappointing. From ownership down, it's just been a very rough 2023, 2022 leading into 2023, end of 2023, start of 2024 for Chelsea.
Yeah, without a doubt. Chelsea wins all
Chelsea
of our
wins.
votes.
Congratulations
For that. Moving on then.
At least they win something.
Yeah, the trophy's in the mail. Yeah.
Mac, funniest moment of the year for you?
I think this is clear. I don't know. I try to think about so many different other funny moments or things that just made me laugh over last year, and a lot of things did in the world of football. There's been many funny moments, but I will take you back to April 30th. I don't know if that speaks anything right now, and it's a game that takes place between one of our 2 favorite teams and one of our most hated teams between the 3 of us. And this individual player has a hilarious moment. He's already scored a couple goals in the Premier League, but they both got called back for offside, which he got a yellow card for celebrating by taking his shirt off. If you don't already know, we're talking about Richarlison. because he ties the game 3-3 in the 93rd minute with Liverpool facing Spurs. And at that moment, Spurs are going to come back. Things are great. Can they chase the top four? He's excited. He scored his first goal. He takes off his shirt again and celebrates. All is great. He does like the little duck celebration thing. You know what I'm talking about? Like where he's like pecking some wood. I'm very confused. I don't understand what's going on there. To then, Spurs it up. And Diego Jota scores in the 94th minute. Just to take away that 1 point that Richarlison thought he had won for the Spurs team. Absolute, like, again, it is, if you looked up the definition of Spurs over the last, 50 years, it should be that moment. You just see like a video replay of that. It would be absolute perfect. And for me at that moment, it was fantastic that it happened to Richarlison too. So it was, again, when I just think about it, I can't help but smile, giggle, just at the high to the immediate low. And Ray, I know that this might be confusing for you with your thoughts on this because you're a secret Spurs fan, but you're a Liverpool fan. So, it's like, shucks, lost the point. Oh, they're so trash. So again, for me, my favorite, funniest moment. If you ask me my favorite moment, it's this, but it just so happened to also be the funniest.
Yeah, no, that's a great shout. Very thrilling match. If I can recount it from very high scoring match. So yeah, no, very very entertaining. I can see for neutrals an entertaining moment that would have happened. Let's move on to mine then. Again, I have to bring it back to Chelsea, and that's very early on. I think it would have been in late August when Chelsea won their game against Luton Town. I'm not sure if you guys recall. Press conference, and one of the interviewers asked Pochettino about a couple of Chelsea players, and Pochettino apparently forgot who those players were, and so that just goes to show the troubles that Chelsea have gone through. Pochettino, of course, dealing with that throughout. Well, he's been dealing with that since he's got there, and one of the big problems was his bloated squad. I think it was Malang Sarr and Jamie Cumming, who the players that were referenced, and I think Pochettino was like, the Snoop Dogg meme, who? and so, I'm not sure if that's exactly like the context is that, but in the moment, it just made it hilarious to me. So one of the funniest moments of the year for me, it was the funniest moment. But Joe, what about you? What's your funniest moment?
Funniest moment, not also strange, very strange, and it was actually quite recent. And it falls under the ownership of Mr. Trent Alexander-Arnold. They were playing Sheffield, and he got a little hot. Why was that on TV? And why are you like? Did he do it on purpose? Did he not do it on purpose? Just the crack.
Amazing.
And then proceeds to provide a beauty of a cross to Virgil van Dijk, and Van Dijk scores. So like, not only are you confused and questioning whether, is that really his butt crack? Did he do it on purpose? While the whole distraction is going on, the Sheffield fans are questioning it, and then they get their asses scored on. So, the whole process is very strange, but I don't know why it happened. I don't know if it was hot, whatever the case may be, but it was just so strange. But it was also such a funny moment because he did that unknowingly, perhaps, and then provided, a beauty cross to score a goal. A big FU to Sheffield after, flashing the fans a little.
Would you say he put the ass in assist? Would that be accurate?
Put the ass in assist. That is fantastic. That is the best way to put it. Holy,
amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
No, that was definitely the funniest moment so far.
Got to clap to that. Not just comical all around. Okay. Lastly, I guess our defensive player of the year, Mac, you'll have to kick us off for that one. Who is that for you?
I'm not taking a defender. I'm not taking a goalkeeper. I'm going to take a defensive midfielder. And it's not who you think it is. It's a man that won his team in the year of 2023, their first European Championship since 1965, who, when he now left his club is now soaring up the table in the Premier League, a lot because of the money that he was sold for, and has gone into his team now currently sitting first in the Premier League. And of course, I'm taking your boy Declan Rice. Here's the bias, Andrew Corner. I think Declan Rice, again, this is a big beef we've had on this podcast before. I think he's phenomenal. I think he's world class. I think he's arguably top 2 defensive midfielder in the world right now, currently. And I think he has the potential to be the best. And I think last year, was absolutely perfect in one of the worst years West Ham could have. He was their shining hero through it. He was kind of their captain, the leader that brought them to that glory moment, and is now kind of pushed the club back up to kind of their stature that they want. Even if you go through kind of a serious competition of when they won something like even an FA Cup, that's in the 1980s. So none of us are alive and saw West Ham as winners, but Declan Rice brought it back for the Hammer. So for me, even though he's not necessarily a defender, I think if we are going to classify the defender group and we weren't going to pick out somebody that was in maybe the best of teams these last couple of years, it would be Declan Rice for me.
Fantastic choice. I did say defensive player of the year, so it does encompass all types of defensive players, not necessarily a defender. But great choice. One last thing I'll just say, time of recording, Liverpool are actually first in the Premier League, but that's of course showing when we're recording. Arsenal do have a game in hand, but great choice there. I'll quickly go with mine. Defensive player of the year. Very much a teammate of Max there, of Declan Rice's team. One of Max's favorite players as well. William Saliba, defensive player of the year. I think it goes without saying. One of the best center backs in the world at the moment, and the way the team had performed, of course, through the 2022-2023 season. One of the players of the season as well, William Saliba, and the way that they've been able to continue that form. It just speaks for itself. And so for me, easy choice. The consistency and the length that he's able to do it for, easy choice for me, defensive player of the year. What about you, Gio?
My defensive player of the year may not be considered the best right now, and he's going through some, rough patches, but just the impact that he has on the team when he's out of the lineup and when he's off his game, I think.
Harry Maguire?
No, it's
Johnny
actually
Evans?
Ruben. It's actually Ruben Diaz. He's almost quintessential to have in that starting four. Especially with a pairing with John Stones, which I think with him on the pitch, he allows John Stones to flourish. But without him, they do have to sit back a little more for defensive duties. And I think with him out of the lineup again, like I said, the pairings have to change, the defensive duties have to change. It doesn't allow people to push up as freely as they would like to against certain teams. So I think with his presence or lack of presence, I think shows a huge drop off in that Manchester City line. Although we see the plethora of options that Pep has, I think the main staple has always been the Ruben Diaz John Stones combo, and without it, we're seeing a lot more mistakes than we're used to from the Man City side, especially on the back line. So, and it kind of weeds out, is Ederson really a great keeper? Yes, he's great with his feet, but some of the shots that he's kind of let in, very questionable. So, is it because, have they been prospering because of how great everybody else is and not how good, Ederson really is? So, yeah, my pick is Ruben Diaz.
No, completely great choice there. I do agree with that. On his day, Ruben Diaz is probably one of the best defenders as well in the world. And the way, I guess, his recent poor run of form and the team's defensive poor run of form just shows. But if he's able to get back, and of course, Man City are able to get back all of their defenders' top form, there's no question they're one of the toughest teams to score against. So great choice there. In that case, we're going to take a quick break here, guys, and then we'll be back covering some more categories for looking back at the 2023 footy year. So stay with us, guys. Welcome back to Hustle Footy, guys. We are going to continue our podcast reviewing our favorite and funniest and all categories for the 2023 year as it comes to an end. The next category will be favorite assist. So, Mac, kick us off with your favorite assist of the year.
So again, I came into this biased. I wanted to have, Ray had his moment a little bit earlier, but I wanted my hot, messy moment somewhere across these categories to be able to shoe in. And I'm like, how can I fit a messy moment somewhere along here? Because, it needs to be done. It's, every year, Messi needs to be appreciated somehow. Come on. Right, Gio? You're on board with that. For me, it's in this category, and it's the favorite assist. And again, you could pick so many. You could pick hundreds. There's a couple from a time at PSG prior to him coming to Inter Miami that I wanted to pick out, but I couldn't nail down the specific date. That it was a little bit easy for him because you can just choose any of the 17 long balls over the top that he plays to Mbappe, who cooks them. You could do that. But specifically, I'm going to pick out his goal to his assist to, I don't know his name because at the end of the day, does it really matter? No, probably not. His job got replaced by Luis Suarez. But it was to tie the game against Cincinnati in this competition. Let me know if you've heard of this before. Lamar Hunt U.S. Open semifinals. I got confused a couple times. I'm like, is that Lamar Odom? No. U.S. Open, isn't that a golf thing? It was very confusing when I was trying to figure out the competition. But what ends up happening, Messi picks up the ball, probably about 45, 50 yards out, kind of pirouettes, twists, turns, lobs across him, scores, goes on to tie 2-2, and of course, Inter Miami to go on to win in penalties, which again, Messi's famous for winning penalty shootouts again. So it's fantastic to see. Everything's perfect. Greatest assist of the year. Best assist of the year. Love to see it. Again, Messi.
Okay. Great choice, of course. For me, as you know, anytime you pick a Messi moment, it'll be great. I'm gonna bring you guys, and I'm so happy that Mac, you went for that because I was kind of scared. I'm not sure Gio if you would have picked the same one for me. But my favorite assist, I guess I'll look for your facial expression, Gio, would be I'm gonna take you guys back to, let me pull up the game. April 27th, 2023. Everton versus Newcastle. Okay. Everton lost 4-1 at home to Newcastle, and one of the goal scorers, maybe unlikely, maybe very possible, Jacob Murphy, gets a tap in. But of course, who makes the goal? We all remember Alex Isak's run down the left-hand side, on the right-hand side of Everton's defense, of course, takes out Gana Gay. It was also Michael Keane, and lastly Ben Godfrey. Just twists them inside and out. Goes all the way down the byline, gets within 6 yards, I would say, and then squares it to Jacob Murphy, who's there for the tap in. Fantastic assist, of course, individual play, and I feel like it's disrespectful when players score tap ins from like that and then celebrate without acknowledging the assist maker, which, just a personal gripe about that. But quickly, a couple of things to mention. I'm not sure if you guys want to watch it back. I went on YouTube to watch this back. If you watch exactly what the moment the ball goes in, look at Alex Iwobi's facial expression. He just has hands on his head because he knows they just got cooked. Maybe that's the reason he's no longer at Everton and playing his football for Fulham. But lastly, I watched the highlights from a Newcastle, from the Newcastle YouTube channel, and the commentators, as soon as the ball goes in, just starts laughing, which shows you the level of disrespect for that goal. So definitely one of my favorite moments for the year, and of course my favorite assist of the year. Gio, what about yours?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be biased on this one, but it is definitely a Manchester United assist, and it comes from an unlikely source. It's let me take you back a couple of few weeks ago. No, not a few weeks. About a month ago, 5 weeks ago, I think. At this point, I think it was a 1-0 win against lowly Burnley. Round it back 14 years. Round it back, and who is giving that assist to Bruno Fernandes? You wouldn't expect it, boys. You wouldn't expect him to even be back in that uniform. If you guys know, you know. I don't even want to say his name because I don't understand how there's this many free agents in this world and he is on this team, but he's there. The only way this could be a better assist is that if it came from Phil Jones himself. But it didn't. So, but no, to play that ball, great vision, and obviously, a savvy vet, as some would call him, to play that right over the top. Bruno Fernandes, first time volley into the left hand corner was fantastic to watch. Ended up 1-0, so that was the game winning goal, and that so far to me has been my favorite assist.
Fantastic. Johnny Evans, of course. In a year where
Why'd you
I
say
think,
it? Why'd you say it?
I'm sorry, I apologize. But my favorite thing about that is there's so many comments going around in a year where he would have expected to just come in, maybe train with the team, earn his coaching licenses. He's out there playing for the first team and putting out fires all over the place. So props to him. Big props. Of course, great assist as well. So let's move on then. Mac, comeback player of the year. Give us yours, please.
So this one, I think it's good to put it into context of I don't necessarily give him 100% of the credit. I give his manager a lot of the credit in terms of the impact that he had on this individual player and what he took him to the next level. Where prior to this manager coming in to coach this player, as again something that we very much talk about very often, and you both like to make snide jokes, which I think is fair. To my England support is if Harry Kane's hurt, who plays? And because of this player having such a great season over the last, let's say, 12 months, that question for me is clearly answered. And that is, of course, Ollie Watkins. What Unai Emery has done for Ollie Watkins and how he's been able to transform his game individually, I think has been absolutely superb. He's scored 21 goals in the 2023 calendar year, and no player has registered more for Aston Villa in a calendar year. The only players that have scored more in that same time period are Mohamed Salah and Erling Haaland. So you're talking about the peak of peak in the Premier League, third best goal scorer for a team that traditionally doesn't score a lot of goals. And what he's done for his team as proving that outlet where, okay, we can get rid of Danny Ings because we don't need him because we're going to play Ollie Watkins every minute, every game, because he's our talisman up front, has been vital, where everything kind of revolves around him in that final third, his abilities. He's answered a lot of questions. And I think he was potentially, prior to this calendar year, I would say, was going to the way of I would say kind of a second tier English striker where, okay, maybe he'll shove around on a couple teams, not dissimilar to his teammate at the time, where Danny Ings, he has some decent moments, some decent seasons, but can he put it together and be a complete forward for a long stretch of time? Answer was no. He could have gone the way of the Dodo Bird, gone the way of the Danny Ings. Instead, very much, he has the potential to have a similar career. In some ways, I would argue to a player like Jermaine Defoe, where he's not like the Premier League best striker at that moment, but he's going to be consistently, potentially, in the top 5. He's 27, still has a couple of years of his prime left, should be banging out goals for a couple more years, but this is the year where he kind of took center stage and came back from what was, I would argue, a very disappointing first couple of years at Aston Villa, coming over from Brentford.
Fantastic choice. Of course, Ollie Watkins, great start to the season, and he's continuing well, so we'll see how he does to compete for that, I guess, pretty much second spot behind Harry Kane. In that number 9 role. But let's move on then. I'll give you guys my comeback player of the year. I was a little bit reserved on how I would go about this, and it might be a cheap cop out, but hear me out, guys. My comeback player of the year, very much on brand with how Liverpool did last season, has done well for us so far. Liverpool fans, and that's none other than Mo Salah. He had 19 Premier League goals last season. 2022-2023, which you could argue was quite a low return, but so far he has 12 in only 2023, so halfway through the season, and has been part, I think, of how Liverpool started this season quite well, and hopefully he can continue it for Liverpool fans. But yeah, I think he had by his standards, a not so great season, and it's proving to be one of those regular seasons for him. So we'll see what happens, but that's my choice. What about you, Gio?
Before Gio goes, I want to just jump in there because for me, my second pick was really any of the Liverpool players. I was going to pick Virgil van Dijk because it seems like the way their trajectories always aligns. Where when Mo Salah has a good year, Virgil van Dijk has a good year, and last year in 2022, Liverpool didn't play great, kind of didn't climb up the table very, very well. Of course, at the end of the 2022-23 season, they started to play much, much better. And of course, the beginning of this season, I would say Van Dijk is probably the second best defender in the Premier League, or maybe the best, depending on who you talk to. Not to me, though. But again, I think that he's been clearly in that conversation, and his uptick, similar to Salah's, has been why Liverpool have kind of jumped up the table in comparison to last year. But I apologize, Jim. Go ahead.
No, definitely. But I mean, for similar reasons, much like yours, my pick for the comeback player of the year currently, right now, is Mr. Hyun-Min Son. Has clap it up. Let's clap it up for Sunny Boy.
Us.
He's been playing great. I mean, obviously not having the greatest year, and then over the summer losing Harry Kane. A lot of questions in the air. Does he stay? Does he leave? What does he do? If it's a rebuild, can't see him staying there long. He's getting up there in age. What happens? Takes on the challenge. Becomes captain. 18 games in. Just to give it some structure here. Last year, 36 matches, 10 goals, 6 assists. We're currently 18 games in, and he's at 11 goals and 4 assists. Now, you may say, okay, it's only 11 goals, 4 assists. Mo Salah has 12 and 7. Well, he's doing a lot off the ball. He's understanding that he can be played as a decoy player to make space for the for Johnson, for Kulusevski. He doesn't always have to be on the receiving end. He's learning to play a little deeper, even playing in the middle. He's leading that team. So in the grand scheme of things, what he's doing when he doesn't have the ball, I think is a lot better. Yes, he still moans and kind of waves his arms, but I think what he's putting in and the efforts he's putting in off the ball and the goals he's scoring is fantastic. And obviously, the captaincy is playing a big role in that. I think he has the utmost confidence in himself. The confidence is very high, and Pastakoglu has the utmost confidence in him as well.
Fantastic choice. Fantastic choice. Let's move on then. Mac Manager of the Year. I think we probably have similar ones, but at least let's hear from you first.
Pep Guardiola treble. Done. Next.
Yeah. It was gonna be pretty much.
This is the only answer. It's the only answer.
I think it has to be. I don't
It's
think
only
there's
answer.
really a question there.
Okay. I mean, of course, treble winning
And then-
season.
But
fantastic.
does someone want to give him his flowers? He definitely deserves his flowers. With the heavy 155 charges of financial issues, something like that, right beside it. But flowers first, right?
Until it is proven guilty.
Allegedly. Sorry. Thank you. My apologies. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Insert that there.
But,
We'll edit that out. Don't worry. I got you.
Early contender for manager next year, Mr. Unai Emery. So let's just kind of throw that out there.
I think he's second place. I think he's second. Unai Emery should. If we had ranked choice voting, he would be second, right? I think Unai probably for. Is that fair to say? I think that's a great discussion. Who would be second?
Don't doubt that for the Premier League.
That's fair.
But
obviously, Xabi Alonso for what he's doing in Germany.
Exactly. That's my other choice.
That's fair.
There's just so many options. I know it's early on. Quick to jump the gun, but Pep was an easy one. We gotta kind of stir the pot a little.
Easy one.
Yeah.
Easy one.
The way Pep was able to be so disappointed in the way they went out. I think it was in the semis 2021, 2022 to Real Madrid. Then able to change his whole squad to make it look like a different team, but still very much same principles, and win it in 2022, 2023. Gotta give him props for that. Mac?
I think the only point I would want to make on Pep, other than what everyone knows, tactician, personality, what he's able to do, I think just the fact that he's always that one step ahead of everybody else, where mid-season he's able to rip up his game plans, figure something out, and this, of course, and I'll go back to it many, many a times, and I know it drives my co-host mental, the love of John Stones, where he's able, instead of having the inverted fullback, let's do the inverted center back, right? Let's take that extra tweak where we're going to have a little positional difference, a little bit of variance there, where no one's expecting it. Okay, now every Premier League manager will be like, okay, how do we solve this problem? Or if you're Arteta, how do I copy this problem, right? It's just depending on what you want to be able to get out of it. And then someone will solve it, and then he'll have that next option. There's always that 1 year ahead where kind of what you see as the stereotypical grandmaster in chess. You're like, yeah, I know what move you're going to do. I am thinking 12 steps ahead. And I think that's Pep to a T.
For sure. That being said, with your mentioning Arteta there, my dark horse option would have been Mikel Arteta, and I'm just gonna pull it up from a Jose Mourinho quote because, of course, Jose Mourinho, one of I guess you could say house footy favorites.
Yes.
His quote when he was managing Spurs and they faced Arsenal is, I want to say congratulations to Mikel. Tactically, they are becoming so good. I've been in football for a long time and I can read situations in advance. And Arteta's doing a fantastic job with this team, building with four, defending with five. Massive trust to the youth, massive management. And I know people hear this and laugh because Spurs were top of the league and they were 14th. But there's going to be such a threat when he gets his plan across, which he has done, and he has been consistent. Like I said, with same thing that I mentioned about Saliba. Very consistent in 2022, continuing it in 2023. And he said as well, he hopes he gets time. He gets time at Arsenal because Arsenal fans will be very happy to have him, and Arsenal will be Arsenal again, which turns to be true. And of course, if Jose says it, who are we to disagree with him? So, just wanted to mention that. But I guess last but not least, if we're okay to move on, let's move on to our last category, which will be Player of the Year for 2023. Mac, give us your player first.
So I have two players here, and I'm struggling because I was going to pick one of the players for assist of the year, and I had an individual one I want to pull out. I have two players here, and I don't think you're going to pick either of them. I'll be honest with you. I don't think it's, for me, I'm looking at a little bit with a little player with a little bit more je ne sais quoi of the moment, enjoying what's really happened. More recency bias, you may say. I think I will. I generally like to take a lot of bands, and especially the duration of Ray, most of the Geo is just how it breaks out. But I will do this with the both of you right now. Can you just for those watching and maybe not listening right now? I want both of you. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to lift your hands up and just kind of spread them out. Okay, just both of them up and spread them up like straight up, stretch, reach for the sky, Who does that celebration right now? The boy Jude Bellingham. That's the guy. That's the player of the season right now. He is the best player in the world as of today, and he's English. Plays for Real Madrid. Not as important. But for me, what I was going to pick out as individual assists, I'm going to take back to September 12th. This game, I don't know if you know, it's during an international break because I'm not going to pick out a single moment from his Real Madrid career, probably ever. Not really important to me. But Jude Bellingham, England are playing Scotland. At this time, Jude Bellingham scores to bring England up to 2-0, I think, if I recall correctly. And then, of course, Harry Maguire scores an own goal, is what it is. But then Jude Bellingham picks up the ball in the midfield, does a twist and turn, plays Harry Kane through, and Harry Kane goes on to score to get a 3-1 lead. And for me, that's kind of like the stamp of Jude Bellingham. I'm the best in the world. This is my team. Harry Kane's wearing the armband right now, but I'm the best player. And I would argue, if you're a better player than the best striker in the world at the moment, how are you not the best player in the world? So for me, Jude Bellingham is absolutely everything. Love to see his personality, the way that he treats his teammates, the way that he treats his opponents, his mentality of how he plays. There's nothing wrong. I don't think any manager would not want him having on his team. And if I were to do a draft of players you would want to pick if you were to build out a team, for me, I think for most managers, owners, he goes number one. That's how I feel currently. So again, it's a little recency, and I know I'm quoting as of September 12th, and I'm discounting a lot of the beginning of the year. But for me, it would be Jude Bellingham.
I don't think we can disagree with that for sure. One of my options as well, and my other option was, of course, maybe Gio has the same one, maybe not. Erling Haaland, I think very, very close call in terms of the Ballon d'Or. Fantastic season, treble winning. We all already mentioned that. Unfortunately, he's not been playing in the last couple of games and has been injured, and I think it's kind of to his detriment, his record with injuries, but we can't deny his goal scoring ability. So Erling Haaland for me, player of 2023. What about you, Gio?
Again, I think like we talked about the Chelsea being most disappointing, I think we were kind of on the same page here. Like you two mentioned, those two players were in my top two. But I will have to side with the English lad.
Let's go!
Jude Bellingham. I think I was going to use him if we had our shithousery moment, funniest moment. Obviously, mine was going to be El Clasico, not scoring once, but the game winner, and him doing his infamous celebration now. And then for him to do it for a while, and then Rudiger actually told him to do it again to the crowd. If for those of you who don't watch those Instagram videos that zoom into the clips, Rudiger was egging him on to do it again.
and he hits it again, and he stares at the crowd with nothing but a smirk on his face. I think that's absolute peak. I think that's the type of rivalry we yearn for as football fans, as competitors. But no, I think from top to bottom, he's the modern day box to box midfielder at this point. Does it all. Is willing to get down and dirty, to make tough challenges, and more than willing to give up the ball, like Max said, the assists, and to be able to be in the right place to score. I know a lot of his goals are considered tap ins, but to have the knowledge to put yourself in the best moment to score, the best opportunity to score is a skill in itself. So to be reading the game at his at this level at his age is quite phenomenal.
I completely agree with that. Like you said, can do it all. So it's gonna be crazy. It's scary to think his potential in the future. And lastly, on the celebration, a lot of course, a lot of people have gripes with a lot of footballers' celebrations, but we can't like the fact that no one can say anything about him able to do this celebration every game he scores. It's a testament to himself. He deserves it because he is arguably the best player in the world at the moment. So pretty much wraps up our discussion there. If we're good, then I'm going to conclude our final podcast of the year, guys. If you guys like what you heard, please like and subscribe to us on our social medias. That's at @house_of_footy. If you have any comments, suggestions, or general banter, get in touch with us via email as well, houseoffooty@hotmail.com. The next time you hear from us will be in the new year when we bring you guys a review of match day 20 of the Premier League. But until then, thank you, Mac.
2023, this was fun. I love you, Jude.
Thank you, Gio.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Johnny.
See you guys in 2024.